Lee Minho just did something that no one, absolutely no one, thought they would ever witness in real time. Not in a leaked clip, not in a blurry backstage moment, not through rumors stitched together by fans trying to decode fragments. This happened live, in front of thousands of people, with cameras rolling and the entire world watching. And in a single moment, with no warning and no way to take it back, he said the 3 words that changed everything. The kind of words that don't just trend for a few hours and disappear, but settle into people's memories like something permanent. The kind of words that make fans freeze mid-scroll, rewind the video just to make sure they heard it right, and then sit there for a second, trying to process what just happened. Because this wasn't just a celebrity speaking. This was Lee Minho, a man who has spent over a decade mastering the art of saying everything and nothing at the same time, suddenly choosing to say the one thing he had never said before. It didn't happen at an award show where emotions are expected and speeches are often polished to perfection. It didn't happen during an interview where questions are designed to provoke headlines. It happened in a space that has always belonged to him in a different way, a fan event. A place where the distance between him and the people who support him feels smaller, more human, less filtered. A place where he doesn't perform in the same way he does under industry lights, but simply exists as himself. And maybe that's why it hit so hard. Because anyone who has followed Lee Minho for years knows one thing with absolute certainty. He does not give away his private world easily. He never has. In an industry built on visibility, he built his identity on restraint. He smiles, he engages, he connects, but there has always been a line, clear and intentional, separating what belongs to the public and what is not. He has been asked countless times about his personal life, about love, about relationships, and every single time, he answered with care. Not cold, not dismissive, but careful. As if every word passed through a filter only he could see. So when a man like that decides to speak without that filter, even for a moment, it doesn't feel ordinary. It feels like something shifted. The moment itself didn't arrive with dramatic music or a perfectly timed setup. That's what makes it even more powerful. It slipped into existence quietly, almost unnoticed at first. He was speaking, transitioning between parts of the event the way he always does, comfortable, relaxed, fully in control. The audience was engaged, enjoying the familiarity of his presence, the rhythm of his voice. Nothing seemed out of place. And yet, if you go back and watch closely, there's something there. Something subtle but undeniable. A pause that lasts just a second longer than it should. A look that doesn't move across the crowd but settles, focuses, as if he's no longer speaking to everyone, but to someone specific. People who were there would later say they felt it before they understood it. That something in his energy changed. Not dramatically, not in a way you could immediately point to, but enough to make the air feel different. Like the moment right before something important happens, when you don't know what's coming, but you know it's coming. And then he said her name. Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just her name, spoken in a way that made the entire room react before he even finished the thought. Because it wasn't just the name itself, it was how he said it. There was no distance in it, no performance. It sounded grounded, certain, real. The crowd responded instantly. A wave of sound, of recognition, of disbelief. Because in that tone, in that pause, everyone understood that this was not going to be a casual mention. This was not going to be brushed aside or redirected the way it had been so many times before. And then, without dressing it up, without adding anything unnecessary, he said it. He said he loves her. Simple. Direct. No explanation, no qualifiers, no attempt to soften or reshape the meaning. Just the truth, spoken clearly enough that it didn't leave any room for interpretation. For a split second, it felt like time stopped inside that venue. Like the words needed a moment to settle, to fully exist, before the world reacted to them. And then everything exploded. The sound that followed wasn't just loud, it was overwhelming. The kind of reaction that you don't just hear but feel. People screaming, cheering, crying, some of them covering their mouths in disbelief, others holding onto each other as if they had just witnessed something they would be talking about for the rest of their lives. Phones shaking as fans tried to capture the moment, knowing even then that this clip would travel far beyond that room. And it did. Within minutes, it was everywhere. Social media flooded with reactions, clips, translations, captions in every language trying to capture what had just happened. People replaying the moment again and again, analyzing every detail, every expression, every second leading up to it. Because it wasn't just what he said, it was the fact that he said it at all. For years, this story had existed in fragments. In speculation, in quiet moments caught on camera, in interviews that hinted but never confirmed. Fans had built entire timelines out of small details, connecting dots that were never officially acknowledged. It was a story people believed in but could never fully prove. Until now. Because once something is said like that, live on camera in front of the world, it changes form. It stops being a possibility and becomes a fact. It moves from the space of maybe into the space of this happened. And that shift is bigger than it sounds. But while the world was reacting publicly, the most important reaction was happening somewhere else entirely. She wasn't in the venue. She was at home, watching the same live stream as millions of other people, but in a completely different reality. Not as a fan, not as an observer, but as the person those words were meant for. The screen between them didn't make the moment smaller. It made it more intimate in a different way. Because she didn't have the crowd. She didn't have the noise or the chaos or the collective reaction. She had silence. The kind of silence that lets a moment fully land. And when it did, it hit just as deeply. The way it's been described by people close to the situation isn't dramatic or exaggerated. It's simple.
She cried.
Not because she was being watched, she wasn't. Not because she needed to respond in a certain way, but because something real reached her in a way that couldn't be ignored. She was holding their child when it happened. And that detail, more than anything else, changes how you understand the moment. Because it wasn't just about two people in love. It was about everything they had built together, everything they had protected, everything they had kept away from the world until now. He chose to make it public. She experienced it in private. And somehow, that balance makes it even more powerful. He didn't call her immediately. He didn't break the flow of the event or step away from the stage. He finished what he started, stayed present in the space he was in. And she waited. Not out of hesitation, but out of understanding. Because some moments don't need to be rushed. When she did reach out, it wasn't for the world to see.
No câmeras, no recordes, nos tatemens.
Just a conversation that belongs entirely to them. And maybe that's the most important part of all. Because for all the attention, all the headlines, all the reactions, what matters most is still the part no one else gets to witness. But this one was. And when the time finally came, he didn't hesitate. He didn't hide behind vague words or indirect statements. He didn't leave room for doubt or interpretation. He said exactly what he meant, exactly how he felt, in a way that can't be undone or redefined. He made it permanent. And that's why this moment matters as much as it does. Not just because of who he is or who she is or the story people have followed for years, but because of what it represents. A shift from privacy to openness. From protection to expression. From something quietly held to something fully acknowledged. It wasn't just a confession. It was a decision. A decision to be seen, completely and without distance, in front of a world that had been waiting, hoping, but never truly expecting it to happen like this. And now that it has, it's not going anywhere. It exists in recordings, in memories, in the reactions of millions of people who witnessed it in real time. It exists in the quiet space between two people who don't need the world to understand what it means. And maybe that's why it feels so different. Because at its core, beyond the noise and the headlines and the excitement, it's still something incredibly simple. A man standing on a stage, looking into a camera, and choosing to say the truth out loud. Nothing more, and nothing less.